Batman Santa Claus Silent Night issue 1, Jeff Parker writing with Michelle Bandini. I think it's Michelle. It's
Let's look.
Michele.
Yeah.
Mikel,
could be
maybe, but
Michael, yeah. Or Michelle. Yeah, I think let's just say Michelle. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm looking at it now.
Hey ho, we got a Christmas miniseries with Batman for December, which is a fun idea. So it feels like it's set kind of, roughly in modern DC continuity, which I was not expecting. I was assuming it was going to be, and maybe it's not in continuity, but it feels like Damien's here, he's wearing his current outfit, stuff like that. But the story starts off with some carolers, most of whom are annoyed at the one guy who's insisting on one more song, which I thought was a little bit funny. And then these sort of bat creatures show up, these sort of vampire bat creatures show up and attack them. So we get Batman and Robin coming afterwards to investigate the crime scene. And there's something, mystical here about the footprints and these vampire-style bites. So Batman calls in Zatanna, and she investigates, and they get like an image of what these creatures are. They're called the Drog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, from Norse mythology, they're like Draugrs, which in Norse mythology, they're more like revenants. So like warrior zombies. Think the white. I know you weren't into Game of Thrones, but you're familiar with the White Walkers.
I've heard of them.
I believe George R.R. Martin based the White Walkers on Drog or Draugrs. These ones are a little bit different because they are bat-like. So
is that just because we're doing a Batman story? So he's trying to,
It could be.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure the more this goes, we'll figure more things out.
I got interested about here though, because I was enjoying it this far because I like Jeff Parker, and I'm excited to see Jeff Parker in a DC book again. It's been a long time.
Yep.
As soon as they said Norse, I'm like, okay, I see what kind of route we're taking to get into Santa here. We're not just going to do an immediate just sort of Tim Allen movie style Santa Claus. Yeah. This is a little bit different. And sure enough, they're chasing a Drog that jumps out, and a stake goes through its heart, and then they reveal Warrior Santa on his reindeer.
Not just a reindeer. This is like an elk, right? So reindeer. I don't know if you've ever seen a reindeer in person. They're actually kind of small, which makes sense because when you hear the old "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," they say there was a large red sleigh pulled by 8 tiny reindeer. This thing's like a giant horse.
Not only have I not seen a reindeer in person, because I don't think there's any here where I live.
Got you.
I'm pretty sure until an embarrassing age, I didn't think they were real creatures. I thought they were just made up for Christmas.
Oh man, you didn't grow up going to zoos, did you?
I went to a zoo once, but I don't think there was any.
So you never pet a reindeer?
No, I've never pet a reindeer.
Oh man, I got to pet a reindeer one time. It was real cool.
I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where I assumed until I was probably in my 20s that they were like, they were like unicorns. They don't actually exist. Yeah, they're just.
Yeah, no, they are. So they're they're a specific type of deer. They're not quite actual deer. Up in the northern hemisphere.
I think I assumed anytime in a movie I'd seen a reindeer, I just assumed it was a regular deer, but they'd put on.
They put it on the sleigh for Santa, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's almost like an elk size. Like it's gigantic.
Yeah, this is like a horse. This is like something you can ride into battle. That's what we're doing here. So immediately they do this thing where Santa starts calling people out by where they lived when they were kids. So he's like, "Oh, Zatanna," and he gives the address that she lived in as a child, and it's the
not
idea
creepy
that
at all.
Well, I mean, okay, out of context it's creepy, but it's this idea that he just knows where everyone lives as kids. And then, sure enough, when Batgirl and Nightwing come out of the story and he meets them, he's like, "Yeah, Dick Grayson." And is this just Bruce Wayne's address that he gives Dick Grayson?
It must be.
It sounds like it to me, yeah.
Because even before he lived with Bruce, he was a carnival kid.
Yeah, he moved around.
So they moved around. So yeah, that has to be.
Yeah, it's just it's a fun little detail, and a lot of this is like everyone's kind of looking and they're like, is this Santa? And at one point Santa's like, yeah, we have to hunt down this these monsters, right? Batgirl, I think, chimes in like, wait, aren't you busy soon? Because it's like Christmas. And he's like, no, I've not actually had to do that in decades. And I thought, so in DC continuity, assuming that they're actually trying to fit this into continuity, they're saying that Santa is real, but because commercialization and parents buying their kids gifts has taken over in the last century or so, he doesn't have to do it anymore.
Yep. And I like that. So the Santa myth is one that I really love just because of where it comes from, because it really is a melting pot of different cultural ideas, right? Just the name Santa Claus and Saint Nick. There's a lot of different religions coming into so the fact here that this is a post-commercialization Santa. So what does he do? He hunts monsters. I'm here for that.
Yeah, they talk about how he was like a warrior. He fought with the the Vikings, and he would ride into battle on his reindeer. And I'm like, okay, Matt's loving this. I know that much for a fact. Well,
and just the whole idea of the wild hunt, which again, I can go off on the origins of Santa. I won't, because we're trying to get done. But the whole idea of Santa and the sleigh and the reindeer come from this Nordic concept of the wild hunt, which might have been just the Aurora Borealis, right? They would see the Northern Lights and around Christmas, and they would tell each other, that's Odin on the wild hunt.
But that becomes the Rainbow Bridge, at a certain point.
The Rainbow Bridge, right? And this becomes Santa, traveling across the world delivering presents.
So the way they tell this here is that he ended up stranded on Earth when everyone else went back, along with Krampus. And Krampus is not something that Santa wanted to slay, because ultimately, while he likes scaring children, he's harmless. He's not actually hurting them or anything like that. So they would go around and he would give out presents to sort of make apologies for Krampus scaring them. He'd make them toys. And that's kind of the backstory we get here of who Santa is. So... and then that builds up to one of the footprints matching Krampus. So Krampus is behind these Drog, who have never come to this part of the world before. They tend to not go much further beyond Northern Europe. So it sets up the big bad. It sets up what they're going to have to deal with. There's a bit of a fight towards the end, because a big flower grows out of the Drog that's lying there dead, and who is it? It's Zatanna gets splatted with it, and they're trying to get this goop off of her, but it's just not coming off. But yeah, it ends with Krampus making his mission statement of like, yeah, you should have killed me, Santa, all those years ago, because I'm going to free all the where is it? What was he talking about? The horrors. Yes, I'm going to free all the horrors, and Christmas will become a day of misery. Ho ho ho. So. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to be bad, because I like Jeff Parker, but I think I liked it even more than I thought I was going to be honest.
Yeah, so I knew from the solicits we'd be getting, Batman and Santa, that they'd known each other, and Santa was kind of a superhero.
Yeah. We glossed over that part. When Santa shows up, Batman just says, "Hey, Chris," because apparently Santa is one of the people Batman went and trained with in his year or two of going around the world training with all the best.
So I like to think that he learned getting into houses from Santa. That's what I'm gonna think.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like to this day, Batman still uses some techniques that Santa taught him. It's kind of nuts, but I kind of love it. So
yeah, I wasn't. When we got Krampus, because Krampus is another concept that I just love. The whole idea that it wasn't enough that Santa was going to bring you coal in parts of Germany and that the Alps regions. There was this other beast that would show up and take kids to hell, and I think that's funny, and I think it's great, and it's metal. But in a lot of those stories, Santa and Krampus are a partnership, right? It's like Kris Kringle's, Saint Nick, Santa Claus, whatever they call him. He shows up and brings the toys to the good kids. Krampus takes the bad kids, but they're not opposing figures. So here, when Parker puts in there, like, oh, Krampus wasn't a threat. He was just kind of silly, and, Santa and him, kind of like he was not a mascot. What's the right word? He's almost like Santa's buddy, like his goofy friend. And then we get to the end here, and he's this demonic, like, hell beast. I need to know more of the story. Like, what happened? What took him from, silly character to complete and total scary man with goat hooves and a long tongue, which I also like too, because that long tongue is a big part of the Krampus lore. But yeah, I'm so here for this. It is going to be weird reading this in April, and it's no longer Christmas, right? Because I think it's only 4 issues.
But it's weekly, is it not?
Oh, is it not? Is it weekly?
I thought so. That's what my understanding was going into this.
Oh, let me look.
I'll look at next week, and I'm sure if we'll see it, then we're happy. Because that would be silly. Yeah, it's issue 2 is next week. We're good.
Oh my god, I'm so happy now.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna have to wait a whole month for this.
No, this is weekly. This is four weeks in a row just for the Christmas season. Easy peasy.
Good. Yeah. Cool. Well, you just made my whole Christmas now. Yeah, it
was a good time. I'm hoping Jeff Parker gets more DC work, but art was solid. Pretty house style, I would say, but solid house style for sure.
But I mean, Santa on a gigantic reindeer with a crossbow, like that looked cool. That looked great.
Krampus doesn't usually have so much red in his design, does he? Because this is a very red and black Krampus.
It depends on the iteration, because he is meant to be Saint Nick's Dark Shadow. So, they'll play with the red. There'll be red trim, and especially the tongue, right? Okay. That always sticks out. But yeah, so there's usually a tub or a sack as well that he carries the kids to hell with that we see. But yeah, it's been funny because Krampusnacht was the 5th, which was what day? Tuesday? And so there's been a lot of videos making its way around online of these, parts of Germany and Austria and Italy that celebrate Krampusnacht, of the parades and stuff. And just each different version of Krampus, it's funny to see their take on it. But there's, the red and black with the long tongue is usually a signifier across all of them. So, and if you are listening to us and you enjoying this, Grant Morrison has a Claus book that may or may not get into Krampus.
Okay.
That deals with the origins of Santa in a very fun way, and I recommend. So yeah.
All right.
So what are we rating this one?
That's what I was going to say. I'm the host, Matt. I asked the questions.
Yes, you asked the questions.
Sniveling little.
I am the Krampus to your Saint Nick. Good Lord. All right, so I'm going to rate this a 9. I am probably a little bit too high, but I love Santa. I love Barbarian Santa. I love Viking Santa. And it's got a Krampus. So yeah, a 9.
Okay. I'm not going to go as high as 9. I think this is a really fun book. I enjoyed the lore that they set up with Santa and Krampus. And the interaction with Batman's kind of charming, so I'm going to go with a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I had a good time.